Hello everybody, I hope everyone's having a good day. Well, I'm going to continue on with the series that I've been doing, 43 players in 43 days. I'm having a look at all the players on Essendon's list and what our expectations are of them going into the 2026 season. Do I think they're going to improve? What positions are they going to play? Is it going to be different to last year? What things can we expect of all the players going into the 2026 season? Most of the players I've done so far, I do expect improvement. That's because we have a very young side. We've only got one player, I believe, who's going to be 30 during the year, and that's Zach Merritt. Everyone else is younger than that. So there should be improvement or at least stabilisation amongst many of the players. The player we're going to look at today is Archer DAY-WICKS. So Archer DAY-WICKS is 19 years old. He looks a bit older than that when you look at his face. He kind of looks like he's a more mature individual, but he is only still a boy, 19 years old. He's a general forward. He does come out of contract at the end of 2026, which is relevant, and we're going to discuss a little bit about that. And he was picked up in the 2024 rookie draft. Brad Scott did say at the time, if I remember, that they were really, really excited that he was still available and they could get him. They rated him highly. They rated a lot of his traits and his character and all those sort of things. And it's a low investment as well. And I've been talking about the investment for all these players and whether they have matched it. Because now, look, with someone who's only 19 years old, we won't be able to tell for a little while yet whether he's going to be exceed his return on investment. But when you pick up someone in the 2024 rookie draft that's not even in the national draft, that is by contrast, a low investment compared to, say, picking up a player who's a top 10 pick in the national draft. So he doesn't have to be an exceptional player to exceed the investment in him. And if you exceed the investment, then if everyone does that, then eventually you're going to have a good team. He was rated our 34th best player according to Champion Data. I think that's about right. He's obviously at the moment probably not in our starting 23 when you look at an injury-free side. He wasn't in our team even towards the end of the season when we did have a lot of injuries. So he's still got a lot of work to do. He averaged 8.6 disposals, 2.8 contested possessions, and 1.6 marks. I do think he's a good size player. He does have like the physical traits. I can see why the Essendon, the Essendon coaching staff and the recruiting team were after him. If you sort of look at him, he's not too tall, not too small. He's a reasonable kick. He's a reasonable mark. All the things, I've sort of compared him to almost like a low-budget Archie Perkins in a way, someone who has got a lot of the physical traits but just can't quite seem to bring it all together. Perkins is a better player, but like Archer DAY-WICKS, sort of has the same sort of problems as having the talent, but the planets don't always seem to align, right, to use a phrase. I sort of see Archer DAY-WICKS being in a similar boat to that. He made his debut. Look, he played pretty well early in the season in the VFL. That's what eventually led to his debut. And he kicked a nice goal on his left foot when he was playing against the Sydney Swans. So that was a big, big thrill for him. But he was eventually demoted back to the VFL. And there were lots of games where he kind of went missing for large periods of time. And to me, that's the concern with him. He looks good. He's got the physical traits, but he just doesn't seem to have that feel for being an AFL player yet. And there's a few things that can do that. Look, are there positions on the ground that is there a position on the ground that he can make his own? To me, that's one of the biggest questions for him. He's regarded as a general forward and a player who plays, I guess, I don't really like the class. He's not really a midfielder, but we'll use the term general forward where you move from the midfield into the forward line a little bit. But he doesn't get his hands on the ball enough at the moment to be an effective player. But he is only 19 years old. And I'd like to see players at least get 2 or 3 years into the system before you make a decision on their future. Look, once a player hits the age of 21 or so, that's still young, but once you're 21, you've been in the system 3 years. And often that's the time when a club decides this player hasn't worked out and they get delisted. He's only 19. So I'd like to see him get a little bit longer. But we'll find out because he does come out of contract at the end of 2026, and he's not alone. There's going to be 18 players coming out of contract next year for Essendon. Not all of those will be out of contract in August. A lot of them will be signed up during the year. I have a suspicion Archer DAY-WICKS will not be one of them. Now, obviously, that's dependent on his form. If he can put some stellar form and show a lot, then the ball's in his court. But I have a feeling he will be out of contract at the end of the season, and there will be a decision made on his future, whether they sign him then to a 1 year deal after the season is finished, put him up for trade, or delist him. I'm not sure. But the fact that he is out of contract is, look, probably a benefit to him, I guess, because he knows that he's going to be playing for his career, and he's probably going to be playing mainly in the VFL. And that's fine. That's fine at his age, 19 years old, trying to establish a position in the VFL to get into that AFL position and try to find a position that he can do. So the questions I've got for him is that, can he become a marking forward? We have a reasonable forward line in terms of availability of players. We've got a lot of tall forwards. We've got a lot of... we don't have many small forwards, and I've mentioned that we lost a couple, Oscar Smart and Jai Menzies. I don't regard him as a small forward crummer, but he is a medium-sized forward. Can he establish himself as a marking forward? If he does so, it would probably have to be in the VFL, and that could put pressure on whoever is playing that position in the AFL, an Archie Perkins or someone like that. He's not ready to take his spot just yet. But to me, that's one of the question marks of him. Can he become a marking forward? Can he secure a long-term deal or even a short-term deal, or will he be a trade asset or even delisted at the end of 2026? That's another one of the big questions. I'm not sold on him. I just don't think he gets enough of the ball. I know you can't judge everything by possessions, but the good players do seem to be able to at least find the ball. He does seem to go missing for large periods of the game, and I think that's something that he has to get right, and he just has to find a little bit more of the ball. I think that's just obvious. Is half forward for him, or would it be better to experiment with him with a little bit of midfield time? And once again, that would probably have to be in the VFL. He's not going to be playing midfield anytime soon, I wouldn't imagine, in the AFL. But if he's typecast as only a small forward and that's all he can do, then you're going to have a hard time, because it's a very, very difficult position playing as a forward and trying to make the most of your 6 to 8 possessions a game. You want to be getting a little bit more of it, and experimenting with him a little bit in the senior side in the midfield or as a mid forward might actually be what's best for him. Because look, he is a really nice left foot kick, we have to say. He's got a decent leap on him. He can play in a lot of different positions on the ground. That was the raps on him before he was drafted. When he was playing for the Bendigo Pioneers, he averaged 16 touches and a goal. So we know he's got some ability. He just needs to put it all together. So, Archer Day-Wicks, what are your thoughts on Archer Day-Wicks? Do you rate him? What do you think will be his go in 2026? I expect some improvement. I don't think we were blown away by him last year, but he is only 19 years old. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a great day. And as always, go Bombers.